Hi, this is Deborah Sable Thornbrew, and in this video I'm going to demonstrate how to insert and work with sections and footer automated page numbering in Word 2016. On my screen I have the cover page for a report, and as I scroll through the report you can see it has a table of contents, and then after the table of contents follows the beginning of the actual report. Well, what I want to do is create an automated page number starting on this first page of the report. I don't want page numbers to show up on the table of contents page or on the cover page. So in order to do that, the first thing I need to do is divide up my document into sections. Well, even before I show you that, let's take a look at what kind of headers and footers are available to a plain document like this. It hasn't been divided up into anything. Let's look at the headers and footers. I'm going to take my mouse and place it just below the top edge of this page, and I'm going to double click. And what that does is it opens up the header and footer area. It places my flashing insertion point inside the header area. And if I scroll the page up a little bit to see the bottom of the first page and the top of the second page, you'll see that here's the footer section of the first page and the header section of the second page. And notice that it just says footer and it just says header. And as I go through the document, if I keep scrolling, that's all it's going to say is header, footer, header, footer. That's it. Now, another thing you'll notice is that when my flashing insertion point is sitting inside the header or footer section of a document, that displays the header and footer tools ribbon or tab. It says design here, but it's really part of the header and footer tools. And so this shows all the different menus and features you can use to formulate your header and footer. Well, I'm not ready to do that just yet. I don't want a header or footer on the cover, and I don't want a header or footer on the table of contents either. So I'm going to scroll the page up and kind of see where I do want it. I want my automated page numbering to start at the bottom of the first page of the actual report itself. So I want my footer to start here. The only problem with that is if I were to type a footer in here or put my automatic page numbering in here, it would show up on every single page of the document, including the table of contents and the cover page. So how do I stop that from happening and start page numbering where I want it to start and make it start with the number 1? Well, here, first thing I'm going to do is close the header and footer view. So I'm going to go up here in the upper right and click Close Header and Footer. So now I'm back to looking at the regular document. So what I'm going to do is scroll the page up and I'm going to insert something called a section break. One document, no matter how many pages it has, if you haven't inserted any breaks on your own manually, then that document just has one section in it. It's just the document. It's one whole big section. So if I want to have section 1 and section 2, I have to put in kind of a border or a fence line, and that's called the section break. Now what I want to have happen is I want my section break to be placed here at the bottom of the table of contents page, so that the starting of the next piece of paper here, the starting of the actual report, will be the beginning of section 2. Section 2 is separate from section 1. That means anything you do in section 2 can be formatted to look completely different from anything you do in section 1. So that means I can put a footer into section 2 and make sure that it does not show up in section 1. So let's do this. I'm going to go to my layout ribbon, my layout tab, I'm going to click breaks, and I'm going to show you that these are different page breaks here, and then down below are the section breaks here. Okay, I'm going to click away from that. I'm going to scroll up here, and I'm going to place my insertion point as far down in the bottom of this page as I can. This is the table of contents page. And I'm going to insert a continuous section break. So I go to the Layout ribbon tab, I click Breaks, and I go down here to where it says Continuous. A continuous section break means that when I insert it, it will not create a whole new page in the document. It will just keep everything the way it is, but it will put up an invisible fence or section break right where my flashing insertion point was. So I'm going to go ahead and click this now, Continuous. And how do I know it's there? And where is it now? I don't see it. There's my table of contents, but where's the section break? Well, the only way you can see it is if you go to the home page, the home the home tab, and click the Show Hide button to show non-printing characters. So I'm going to click that, and there is my section break. It happens to be on the same line as my page break, and that doesn't really matter. The section break can go above the page break or on the same line as the page break if you have a page break. So now that I have a section break here, if I place my mouse into this header or footer area on a page and double click to open that view, take a look. Now I've got section 1, and down here I have section 2. You may remember when I first looked at the section at the header footer area, the first part said just footer and this part just said header. There was no section anything, but now there's a section 1 and a section 2. So I'm going to place an automated page number into section 2, but not into section 1. So I'm going to scroll down to the bottom of the first page where I want that to be. And let's say I want the page number, the automated page numbers to show up in the middle. So I'm going to press my tab key so that my flashing insertion is in the middle, and I'm going to insert page numbering, automated page numbering, and that's also on the header and footer tab. So now that I'm here, I'm going to go up here to the left and click page number, and then I'm going to click, well, first I'm going to go into current position. This is where I want the page number to be, and I want it to look a certain way. So I'm going to start with, I'll just pick this one. Now notice that the automated page number has gone in, but look, it starts with the number 3. Well, I don't want it to start with a 3. It's telling me 3 because that's the third page in the document. And what's more, it's also showing up in section 1. That's because I haven't told it what to do yet. See here it says same as previous. I do not want this to be the same as previous. So I'm going to remove the link to previous. Make sure that I clicked in here, so I'm next to this where I want the number 1 page to show up, and I'm going to click link to previous to unlink it. So now that I've unlinked link to previous, I'm going to scroll back up, and it has not been linked anymore to the previous, but I'm still seeing this header and footer. So I'm going to delete this footer here. I'm going to just delete it out, and I'm going to look and see if it also deleted from the cover page, and it did. It's not showing up in the cover page either. So now that I deleted the footer out of section 1, I'm going to go back down into section 2. My footer is still there. That's great. Now, the only problem I'm having now is that I want this to start with a number 1, not a number 3. So I'm going to select the 3, click and drag to select the 3. Then I'm going to go back up here to page number, and remember this button is only available here in the Header and Footer Tools tab right now. That's where I'm working with it. So I'm going to click page number again. This time I'm going to choose Format Page Numbers. And from here, this is where you tell it where to start. So I want it to start, I'm going to click right here, Start At, and I want to make sure that says a 1. Does it say a 1? Yes. If it didn't, if it said 2 or 3 or 4, I would change it to a 1. So now I can just click OK. There's my number 1, page 1. And now I'm going to double click out of the footer area. I can double click anywhere in the main body here to remove it. Not remove it, but get out of the footer area. And I'm going to turn off the Show Hide button so all those little characters are not showing up. And I'm going to scroll up and let's see once again if this is the way I want it to look. Here's my cover page. There's no footer. That's good. Here's my table of contents. There's no footer there. That's good. Now here's the first page of the body of the report. There's my footer. It says page 1. Let's go look at the other pages and see if it says page 2. It does. Page 2 and page 3 and finally page 4. So I've got my automated page numbering just fine the way I want it. Now let's say I want to add some text to my footer as well. Well, I'm going to double click into the footer area to open it back up. I'm going to make sure that my flashing insertion point is where I want the text to be. So the page numbering isn't going to be affected. It's just going to stay right where it is. And I'm going to type something like, oh, I don't know, the title of the report, Online Learning Plan. There we go. So now I'm going to close my header and footer. And let's see if it shows up on all the rest of the pages. It looks like it is. Is it showing up on the pages without a header or footer? No. That's perfect. So I've set it up so the first 2 pages in this document, the cover page and the table of contents, do not have a footer. The rest of the document, starting with the body of the report, does have a footer, including an automated page number that starts with number 1.